Thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk. I am Janae Hancock. It is August 28th, and not a lot of new laws go into place today. And with that being said, I do want to take a look at this video because today Missouri's new hands-free law goes into effect. It is under Senate Bill 398. And to dive deeper into what this law is and the do's and don'ts, Nick Shabaria with AAA joins us now. And Nick, it has been a long time since we have actually sat down and had a conversation here on the OTT desk. But as always, I want to thank you so much for joining me here.
Yeah, it's always great to be here, Janae. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Okay, so Nick, I do want to dive straight into this topic. Break down exactly what this law is and the do's and don'ts. What do people need to know today?
Yeah, so today in Missouri, the Siddens banning hands-free law goes into effect. And what it really simply says is drivers in Missouri can no longer hold their phone in their hand while they're driving. That includes holding it to, manually swipe or type or scroll. It also includes holding it up to your ear to talk. So it's what's called a hands-free law. It still does allow drivers to use hands-free technologies built into your phone or your vehicle, such as voice to text. You can still take calls over Bluetooth, whether it's through your vehicle or through an ear set. And you can still use your phone for things like navigation and audio apps for music. What it again, really the kind of the spirit of the law and the intent of the law is to make sure that drivers get their phones out of their hands. They have their hands on the wheel and their eyes on the road while they're driving.
And, we've been talking about this here in the newsroom. And I think one of my questions is, when you get to a stoplight, are you able to pick up your phone and maybe answer it or maybe send that quick text that you received as you were driving? Or how does that work out, Nick?
Sure. Yeah, under the law specifically covers while the vehicle is in motion. So if you're at a stoplight or you're stopped in traffic, you would be allowed to, manually manipulate your phone. From a traffic safety perspective, from AAA's perspective, we still hope folks, refrain from doing that. There's a number of studies that show if you look at your phone, even while stopped, you can be distracted cognitively for up to 28 seconds after you put your phone down, and that could mean the difference of a crash or not. So our recommendation, if you do need to use your phone, simply make sure you set your map or do whatever you need to do before you start your trip, or pull over into a gas station or some other safe spot like a parking lot and use your phone from there. But as the law is written, it only covers phone use while the vehicle is in motion.
Good to know there. And I do want to take a look at this video once again. Now, Missouri is the 28th state to require hands-free cell phone use for all drivers and the 49th state to prohibit manually texting and driving. Why is this law in place right now, Nick?
Yeah, well, we've been behind other states when it comes to distracted driving laws here in Missouri. We know that over the last decade or so, there's been nearly 200,000 crashes as a result of distracted driving, and more than 800 people have lost their lives on Missouri roadways over that same time period due to distracted driving. We also know those numbers are probably largely underreported because oftentimes you're relying on somebody to admit that they were on their cell phone after the crash, which folks aren't too keen to do. But, really the law, right in its name, the Siddens banning hands-free law, those are two names of two Missouri fathers and husbands who lost their lives because of distracted driving. They were hit by distracted drivers over the last several years. So it's important for all those family members that have lost loved ones, all those families and folks that have been impacted by distracted driving, that we really make that positive change, and push for stronger laws, which we were able to do. We know the law itself isn't going to change everybody's behavior. It's not going to stop everybody from using their cell phone and holding their phone while they're driving, but it's a step in the right direction. It's going to take the law, it's going to take enforcement, and it's going to take public education to make sure people understand the dangers of distracted driving.
And those two names that you just mentioned, impacted by distracted driving, very powerful stories there, tragic, but also very powerful. Now, Nick, I know you are with AAA. How has AAA been impacted by this new law going into place?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've always advocated for traffic safety. That's what AAA was founded on, was an advocacy group for motorists. And of course, now it includes all road users, pedestrians, cyclists as well. So we were very happy to see this law go into effect. We've worked hard with our partners around the state over the last really 3 years in particular to really try to get this legislation across. It's a huge step in the right direction, as I mentioned. It's going to take much more than this law, but it's really going to improve roadway safety here in the state. We can look at other states and just kind of see how laws have impacted fatalities after they went into effect there. For example, in Georgia, they enacted a similar hands-free law in 2018. And in the first 18 months of that law being in effect, they saw a 7% drop in roadway fatalities. And over the first month, they saw real-time phone usage while people were driving drop by about 22%. We know that most people want to follow the law. They want to do the right thing. We just never had a law like this in Missouri prior to it to say, hey, it's not safe to be on your phone when you're behind the wheel. So we're excited that the law is going into effect, and we know it'll be a big improvement to roadway safety here in Missouri.
Right. And Nick, I know you mentioned earlier that 200,000 people, there were 200,000 deaths, I should say, as a result of distracted driving. And with that being said, I do want to take a look at the statistics that you sent me earlier this week. Taking a look at that information here, gender of distracted drivers, you can see 256 were male, while 105 were female. And as we continue to scroll down, there's more statistics here on this website. 71 people killed in Missouri distracted driving crashes back in 2021. 74% of distracted drivers in fatal crashes were older than 21 years of age. Now, as we continue to look at these statistics here, Nick, if you can just break down the penalties, really tell us what's at stake here.
Yeah, and really quick, while you have it up, that 52%, that's a really important number to highlight as well. That shows that in distracted driving fatalities, more than half the time, it's somebody other than that distracted driver that was killed in that crash. So, again, when we talk about traffic safety issues, you really can put distracted driving up in the same category as impaired driving because we see similar statistics where it's often not that drunk driver or that distracted driver that's injured or killed. It's somebody else, an innocent bystander, passenger, another driver. So I just wanted to highlight that. But yeah, the penalties for this law. Fines will start at $150 for your first offense, and they'll increase if you have repeat offenses within a 2-year period, all the way up to $500. The law also lays out that if you are cause a crash or a driver causes a crash and it's determined that they're on their cell phone, if they cause serious injury, serious damage, or kill somebody, there's misdemeanor and felony charges associated with that as well. One thing to note with the penalties, they actually won't kick in until January 1st, 2025. So the law does take effect today. It is now illegal to hold your phone in your hand while you're driving in Missouri. However, if you're stopped and cited, it will only be a warning for about the next year and a half. And that was built into the law really as a way to make sure we're educating drivers about the change. We know that, unfortunately, for some folks, holding their cell phone or being distracted by their cell phone, it's really become a habit. So we want to make sure people are educated about the dangers, have time to make that adjustment before the penalties really kick in.
And is that normal for other states? I mentioned that several other states have, included this law, but also is it normal to wait 1.5 years or 2 years before you can start getting fined for being on the phone?
Yeah, every state has, sort of passed their own legislation. This kind of delayed penalty provision, again, is a way to signal that the law isn't in place to catch people, doing something wrong in the act, to be any sort of revenue stream for, any departments or any cities. The intent of the law really is to send the right message to drivers that it's not safe to be on your phone when you're behind the wheels. So every state's taking a little bit of a different approach. This is what we found will work for Missouri.
Alrighty, Nick. Well, I do want to thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk. Always, it is a pleasure. And I know later on this week, we will be touching on Labor Day travel because we're coming up on that holiday as well. So a lot to look forward to. But we did want to talk about these laws today, and taking another look at that video here at the live desk, I want to let you all know of the other laws that will be taking effect today. That includes Senate Bill 28, Senate Bill 138, 167, 186, and as we just mentioned, Senate Bill 398. Now, to find more information on all of these bills that go into effect today, you can always go to our website, kctv5.com.